Hi friend. Long time no see. I know. You've been asking me about one particular topic to talk about here, and since I actually promised it myself, I'm happy to oblige. Today we're gonna be talking about books. In particular, I'm gonna be talking about books for the 75 Hard Challenge. If you don't know, you can watch this video where I'm talking in details about this challenge. I'm gonna be starting my own on January 1st. You are very free, of course, to join me if you want to. But one of the rules for this challenge is to read non-fiction books. In particular, let me quote, read 10 pages of a non-fiction book that you think will improve something about you. You get to decide what will improve you. It can be a physical book or an e-reader, and audiobooks don't count. So what we have is the books gotta be non-fiction and they gotta improve something about you in any shape or form. You decide what it is that is going to improve something about you or your life. There is a list on the internet, of course, about the list of the books that are recommended for your 75 hard run. Particularly, everybody always talks about the Atomic Habits. I am of the opinion that this book is better be summed up as a YouTube video. There are plenty of those already available, so go watch those if you'd like to. And in general, you can just go through that list, but I wanted to share some of the books that I have been reading in the past couple of years that have changed something about me and that I hope will help you as well. I gotta start with a book that was the most transformative for me. It is non-fiction. It is going to change a lot in your life to the better if you actually follow what it talks about. The book is Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. I'm a person who has struggled with sleep issues for many years. I'm not exaggerating. I either have not been able to fall asleep or I have been having terrible nightmares, but regardless of that, what always was a persisting problem for me is that no sleep was ever enough for me. I could sleep for 10 hours, 12 hours, I would still wake up tired. This book literally changed my life for the best, and I owe my current mental state mostly to this book, to a couple of other things as well, but honestly in a big chunk of it to this book. What I really like about this book is that it talks a lot about different scientific sources and it quotes it and allows you to go and read more through them in details if you would like to, but at the same time it doesn't overcomplicate things. So if you are not a fan of reading non-fiction or scientific stuff in general, for example, I have an allergy for reading scientific books after my uni years, this book will still be fine for you. It talks a lot about the issues, it talks a lot about the patterns, it talks a lot about the main source of the sleep problems. It helps you identify what exactly is happening with you, what exactly is going wrong, and it gives you realistic solutions. This book has helped me so much. I sometimes slack off a little bit, and when I don't follow the advice given in this book, I notice how my sleep gets so much worse. Whenever I go back, boom, I sleep like an angel. I wake up ready to take on the world. I don't have this book in English, but hey, you gotta know Dale Carnegie, right? He's famous for his self-improvement books. In particular, 3 of those that I actually have all of them in one book, and 2 of them have changed my life so much. How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a good book, but honestly, I read it long time ago, and I gotta say that the other book from the same author, from Dale Carnegie, has changed my life so much more. It is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. By the way, if you follow League of Legends esports, this is one of the books that Faker has recommended as one of his favorite books. I was like, the man is smart, so maybe if he recommends the book from the author I know I like already, I should read it. I did read it, guys. I did not regret it. It's an amazing book. It changed so much in my life, and I actually, I'm a person who struggles with anxiety. I overanalyze things a lot. I always think about the worst outcome. I have noticed so many positive shifts in my mindset after reading the book and implementing the advice from it. It literally changes how you view things, how you think about the future, how you think about the outcome, how you approach problems in your life. And I take my anxiety from my mom, but after I read this book, I went to visit her and she told me that she has seen so many changes in me, like I had changed as a person, and that she felt so much safer and she worried less when she was around me because I worried less, and I was, sharing this positive mindset of not worrying too much, all thanks to this book, honestly. Next, again, I don't have this one, unfortunately, in English, but it is actually one of the books that I read through my previous 75 Hard and that I forgot to mention in my last video. It is Homo Deus. It talks about the future of humanity. Honestly, like, first of all, this book is huge. Second of all, this book is, the typical non-fiction, so be prepared. Third of all, it is depressing. It is hella depressing. It talks a lot about what is going to happen to humanity in the future, how we're going to evolve, what new patterns we're going to get. And at the same time, it talks about how AI is going to change us as well. So it talks about different possibilities of future, different outcomes, like what will happen if this, if that happens or doesn't happen. And it gets so depressing. You read through it and you're like, individuality will not matter anymore. We will just be a cattle for AI. By the way, this book was written before AI became like the huge thing. It was written in 2015. So long before the big AI shift that we're seeing right now, and it already talks about the dangers of it. Again, it's a very depressing outcome. I found myself just staring into my walls sometimes after reading it and being like, oh my god, I don't want to live in that future, but it is also very eye-opening. I think everyone should at least give this book a try. Next book is something that I have been recommending already, and if you go into the comments of my previous video, you will see one great person telling me how much they loved this book after I recommended it. It's The Sell, The Secret of Selling Anything to Anyone. It is not pure self-help non-fiction. It's not that much self-help, to be honest. It's not self-help at all. I'm just realizing. It is partially a memoir or a self-biography of the author. He's talking about how he moved to the United States when he wanted to work in real estate, how he made it work for him, and how he became the best real estate person in the whole of New York. He talks about what made his success, what made him the person he is right now. I found it very inspiring, to be honest. It's a person coming from pretty much humble beginnings. He had to start from the scratch in the industry that he was really passionate about, and he found the ways to make it work for him. Now, fortunately for me, I have all the books that I like, or like the vast majority of them, in the physical form. But you gotta remember, and I want you to remember, that you don't need physical books for the challenge or to be smarter or like in general at all. Physical books are not required for 75 hard. You can do it as a digital book. They are not required in general. You can go to a library, you can borrow books from a friend, you can do it on an e-reader. Let's be thoughtful about the world around us, okay? I understand the appeal of physical books, but I very often read books just on my e-reader or my iPad because it's better for the environment. And it's cheaper. Usually it's cheaper. Alright, before I go into some more book recommendations that are not self-help books, still non-fiction but not self-help, I wanted to give you the list of the books that I'm going to be reading through my challenge. I have 3. I might add more because I'm usually a pretty fast reader, and if the book is interesting, I will read more than 10 pages in a day, and I recommend you do the same. If the book is interesting to you, don't just leave it at 10 pages, keep reading. But the 3 books that I have on my list so far are Unfuck Yourself. I suspect it's going to be similar to Dale Carnegie's, because apparently it's about the same thing, worry less and live more. That's what the cover of the book pretty much says, but we'll see. I am a believer of dropping the books if you don't see any value in them after like first 50 maybe pages max. So if I don't like it, I will drop it and I'll pick the next thing on my list. And the next thing on my list is Still Like an Artist. I really wanted to read this book for quite some time already. It's about how everything in the world is pretty much already existing, in terms of art mostly, of course, as the name suggests. So if you want to create art, you shouldn't be thinking about, I should make something new. You should be trying to get inspiration from other sources and copying, stealing, but not fully stealing 100% what other people are doing, but rather taking their ideas and finding ways to implement them into what is going to be truthfully yours. I've seen it in a lot of recommendations for YouTubers specifically, so I really want to try reading it. And the last one is Ikigai, The Japanese Secret of a Long and Happy Life. I hope this book is going to help me, because there are a lot of life secrets that I have taken from Japanese culture that I've implemented to my life. And those little things really help me feel better about myself. By the way, if you want me to make a video about it, let me know in the comments, because it's such an interesting topic and I'm really passionate about it. But I hope that my list of books is going to help me feel better a little bit in everyday life. And now I got one more thing for you. If you are doing 75 soft, where you're not required to read non-fiction or self-help books, but just gotta read something in general, or if you just want some more book recommendations, I have a list for you. Most of them are actually considered non-fiction, but they're not self-help at all. But I still think that these books are a must-read, and I really, really, really want to recommend them to you. If you're looking for just a general list of inspiration, you're at the right place. They are hard to read, I gotta warn you. The first book on my list is gonna be Anna Karenina by Lev Tolstoy. Regardless of what you think about classical literature, I think Lev Tolstoy, and again, regardless of what you think about him as a person, because that's a completely different story, I think in his books he manages to look into the depth of humanity and find the best and the worst in people at the same time and bring it out to the light of the day. And in this book you can see how people often become the victims of their own decisions, but at the same time of decisions of the other people that they have no control over. And it's heartbreaking. This book truly is heartbreaking, so I warn you, it is going to be a hard read, but I think you have to go through it. And it's gonna be A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. Again, very sorry if I mispronounced the name. This, again, is a very hard read. It is a story that follows two women in Afghanistan, their life journey through a very unstable timeline in Afghanistan. And reading through it, you first of all can kind of see how unfortunately the history yet again tends to repeat itself in the worst ways possible. And second of all, you just see how an ordinary person, especially a woman who feels so unsafe and unprotected in this world, tries to navigate through it and find a life and a voice for herself, and how these two women find their strength through very, very different ways. They are very different, they have very different upbringing, they look different, they come from different places. It is very inspiring in a very heartbreaking way yet again, but very inspiring. I highly recommend you read through this book as well. I think I always leave this book as my recommendation whenever somebody asks me for must-read books. I just realized there is one more book that I gotta recommend you, and I have it in physical form, and it is yet again fiction, but this is A Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. It is a very small book, very short, so you can read it very quickly just through a couple of evenings. But I have never resonated with a character in a book more than here, than in The Convenience Store Woman. I'm not going to tell you anything about the story, you just gotta read through it, and then you come back to my comments and tell me that me seeing so much of myself in this woman, if it's a good sign or if it's a worrying sign. You know what, let's stay at the fiction for one more book. I have Windhaven for you. You probably know J.R.R. Martin because of the Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire and stuff. I bet you don't know this book by him and Lisa Tuttle. They wrote it together. Again, it's called Windhaven, and it follows the story of a girl who really wanted to fly. It is this kind of post-apocalyptic world, I would say, in a way, where people live on tiny islands in a giant sea that is always stormy, so transporting goods or people between the islands on ships is nearly impossible. So what they use in order to send stuff or messages between the islands is they use people who use special wings made from a very old spaceship that actually brought these people originally to this planet, if I recall correctly. But there is a special cast of people who know how to operate these wings, how to fly them, and this story follows a girl whose biggest dream in her life is to get those wings and to actually fly. This is a beautiful story, and the way that the authors describe this feeling of flight, I have not seen it in any other book. I don't know, it just does something to my brain, you know? Two last books are also going to be a hard read, unfortunately, but I think you gotta go through them, especially through the first one, which is gonna be Educated. It is a self-biography by Tara Westover, and she talks about her upbringing in a very strict religious Mormon family who wanted to live as far away from the society and civilization as possible, and how she realizes with time that what is happening is wrong and she tries to escape from this life. It's a very interesting story of self-reflection and self-making, quite literally, because she has to overcome everything that has been put into her head from the very moment that she was born. And as a human, it's a very, very hard thing to do. In the same spirit, The Glass Castle by Janet Walls follows a very similar story of a girl who also had to rediscover herself and fight everything that had been put in her head, and to fight literally with her family for the right to be a different person than them. If you have a strained relationship with your family, I feel like these two books, they can be a hard read again, but you might find them inspiring in the way that, hey, you are allowed to find your own way and to follow your own way, and your family not agreeing with your ways of living doesn't define you as a bad person. It just defines you as a person different from them. And sometimes we really need a little bit of push to find these words for ourselves, and these books might be the push that you would need, and that will hopefully help you. So here is my list of books that I recommend for your challenge, be it 75 hard, 75 soft, any other reading challenge or challenge that involves reading, or just for you to have more books in your to-read list. And actually, I have a question to you, because as you can see, my list is very hard and depressing. It can get like that sometimes. I need some light-hearted stories, please. Can you please recommend some stories that are going to make me feel happier and laughing, you know? I don't know how to find these books. I would be really grateful if you can recommend something like that for me. And on top of that, if you just have any book recommendations for everybody, if you have a book that you know is a must-read for everyone around and you want to tell the world about it, please leave it in the comments. Let's have a little book club in the comments here. Let's exchange books with each other and grow together this way. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope some of these books will help you, inspire you, or just do good for you in general. Don't forget to leave your comment down below and like this video and subscribe to me, please, because I have more videos coming and I do count on your support. Thank you so much yet again. I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.